Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs Podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Fernay, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Fernay.
Hey there, this is John Fernay with the Maryland Crabs, and I'm flying solo again this week. And I'll tell you, we're just going to get right into it because this is a long one. We sat down with the Baysox up at Bowie Baysox Stadium. We talked to General Manager Brian Shallcross and Assistant General Manager Phil Rye to find out what's in store for all the fans this season at the Bowie Baysox. So let's get right into it. Might seem kind of strange that we're here at the Bowie Baysox Stadium, which is it's got an official name. It's called the Prince George's County something or other stadium. But we're here with Brian Shallcross, who's the general manager of the Bowie Baysox. And we're going to talk a little bit of baseball because baseball season will be here before you know it. And certainly it is coming once again for the 27th year to Bowie.
So actually this is 25th coming up.
For people that don't know, the Bowie Baysox are the AA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles, and it's a minor league farm team, I guess is the right term, where they're grooming the stars of tomorrow. I'd like to talk about, baseball and how the whole organization works. I'm not really sure. I mean, Bowie is such a convenient place. It's right on the corner of, I say the corner, but it's on the corner of Route 50 and 301 in Bowie, so it's really accessible to Baltimore. I'll say, Baltimore City, Southern Baltimore County, certainly Howard County, Prince George County, on the other side of the line from Anne Arundel County. I live down in Annapolis, and I was here in 15 minutes. So it's an incredibly, very convenient thing. And, straight shot down to Upper Marlboro and up down into Calvert County as well. Centrally located, great talent, a lot of fun. I enjoy it every summer. Are you owned by the Orioles?
Good question.
Sometimes it seems like that.
No, that's a good question. I get that quite a bit. Like, how is it to work for Peter Angelos? I do not work for Peter Angelos. We are actually owned by a private group, so we own the affiliate. So we own the AA affiliation. It so happens that we have from the get-go since 1993, and moving forward, we have an extension in place. We've been the Orioles farm system. But doesn't mean we always have to be an Orioles AA affiliate.
Okay, so you're owned by a corporation, or maybe a couple of really rich guys or something like that. I think you've had some ownership changes over the years. So if you all of a sudden wanted to say, hey, we want to be a farm team for the Yankees, and there was an opening, or they wanted to expand their farm thing, you could go and make that pitch and do that?
Yeah, so there's only 30 slots available for 30 teams, so nobody's left with not dancing. Okay. So in your scenario, if the Yankees weren't happy with their AA affiliate, and we said, we'd like to be a Yankees affiliate, which bad choice of teams. I don't think that would go over real well here.
Right.
But the case remains the same, that nobody's left not dancing. So if we would go to the Yankees, the Orioles would pick up the Yankees, where the Yankees are, which happens to be Trenton, New Jersey. But so there are those shuffles. For the most part, you want your affiliates relatively close to your major league, especially in AA and AAA, for rehabilitation purposes and shuttling purposes, and really from a marketing perspective. We like to think Prince George's County as an Orioles country. Now the Nationals would disagree probably, but that's why it's important that we're here. We want to put our flag, the Orioles flag, in Prince George's County as opposed to the Nats flag.
Well, that's this sort of brings a question, is that each team has their own farm system that goes in there. What makes a company attractive to be a farm team, to to be an affiliate? What do you bring to the table to the Orioles? Is it management of the stadium? Is it?
Yeah, so the agreements between affiliates and the Major League team are standardized. What the responsibility of the affiliate is, what the responsibility of the Major League club. Where it gets to be choosing one over the other is how well you execute those items. What is your commitment to the player personnel, the player development? So things like your facilities, your locker room facilities, your playing surface, your staff. So those type of commitments to player personnel, your travel, things like that, that if you're treating your Major League affiliate correctly, those should be top priorities, even though they don't really, it doesn't help the profit and loss if we make sure that there's a new rug in the clubhouse.
Okay.
But it's important. It's important that we are demonstrating a commitment to the player development of the Orioles, because that's what we're here for. We are running a business, but we need to have that mutual respect with the Major League team.
Now, do you actually, with your staff here in Bowie, do you actually run the baseball, the game? I mean, are you the ones that's responsible for looking at who's going to come up into AA and who's going to coach for you and who's going to manage and whatnot? Is that your choice, or is that something out of the Orioles, or is it a combination?
It varies. In our particular example, I have limited player development responsibilities with regard to who goes up and who goes down. And a lot of it, unfortunately, is discipline stuff that I have to deal with. But so I have a limited role with regards to that in the way the Baltimore Orioles are set up. So most of those decisions are going to come from the general manager up in Baltimore. So, I'd be consulted for certain decisions like coaching staffs and things like that, and any disciplinary things that I have to deal with. I have the ability by the agreement laid out between affiliates and Major League.
Okay.
So certain general managers get more involved, but in the way we're operating here, most of the baseball decisions ultimately come from Baltimore.
Okay. Any truth to the rumor that the Baysox are in the process of buying a corporate jet to shuttle the team from here to Erie and back? And
so that is not in the budget, John. That is not in the budget. But I will say this. We have the last few years, and this is kind of interesting to me. In the last few years, we always have a series in Manchester, New Hampshire, and Portland. So always same road trip. And Southwest flies there. Obviously, Southwest is big presence in Baltimore. So we have flown the team the past 3 years up to that trip. Now, the bus goes anyway. So
Sure.
The bus takes all the bags.
The gear
But the interesting thing to me is there are players and coaches that don't want to fly, would rather go on the bus. So last year we said, listen, what do you guys want to do? If you don't want to fly, we'll just take the bus.
a bunch of little John Maddens.
But it really surprised me how many people would rather take a bus. I mean, it's not me, but
I think there's probably got to be something to that. I mean, there's you play as a team, and I hate to bring up the Yankees again, but I remember one time there was attributed to Steinbrenner, and someone says, "Well, hey, how come we don't have our names on the back of our jerseys?" He says, "Because you got them on the front. It says Yankees. You're a team. It's not about you. It's not about." And it's that's what we are. And I would think that probably traveling on a bus together probably brings the cohesiveness of a team together, because I mean you do have to work together. For how many games are in your season?
140.
140.
So 70 home, 70 road.
Which is rough. And they do travel by bus most of the time to the. I mean that Erie is like a bus, I would think, and Norfolk and.
Yeah, everywhere we go is by bus, with the exception of that trip up to Portland and Manchester, and even this year we might bus. We might just bus it. But yeah, everywhere we go, we bus.
The stadium here, you guys have been here from, you said, all but 1 year of the Baysox history, and it's been a great thing. You've seen some division championships. You've had lots of events that have gone on here, and they vary from year to year. I know you had Laila Ali in a boxing match. You've had concerts. I think you had America play here one time.
Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson. I can remember like it was yesterday.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Okay.
It was
I don't remember that one.
It's very cool.
There have been job fairs. There have been, all sorts of things that this is used as a community-centric thing. And, do you still do the congressional game?
No, we lost it when the Nats built their Their new park. Yeah, we used to. That was a great event for us. We raised a lot of money for charity.
But you do a Wounded Warriors game, don't you?
Yep.
And that's where we bring out the Wounded Warriors, and they play baseball, and it's a really inspiring type of a thing. One of the greatest things I think with minor league ball, and I discovered this when I first moved down to Maryland from outside of Philadelphia, and it was back. I was a season ticket holder for the Phillies, and they were in the World Series in '93, and then season ticket holder. It was a Sunday package of 4 seats, so it was the equivalent of 1 seat for the whole season, if you will. And the year after they were in the World Series and lost and choked famously.
I'm from outside Philadelphia. I know it well.
It still stings. Mitch Williams.
After Joe hit that home run, Joe Carter, I punched the wall in my dorm room. That's pretty.
Yeah, Joe Carter, Mitch Williams. It just rolls off the tongue 30 years later. Mm-hmm. But they jacked up the prices. And they moved my seats from, down on the third base side, fairly low to the field, into the 600 level way out in the outfield. And I just got really pissed off at baseball. I came down here as it happened, and I had never really heard of minor league ball. I mean, outside of Philly, I was very close to Philly, so we had the major leagues that was so close. I mean, I think the minors were Reading, Camden, I think maybe they had one.
Camden was independent baseball, Atlantic League.
But Trenton.
Yeah.
And those were just not really on my radar up there. Came down here, and someone said, hey, why don't you go to a Baysox game? I said, well, A, what is a Baysox and where would it be? And I said, it's just right up there. I went there, and I'm like, okay, we get in there. It's free parking. And I think at the time it was like $8 for a ticket or $7 for a ticket or something like that. I'm like, okay, well, this is like cheaper than a movie. And I was dumbfounded that we're so close to the field. And it was just, the family event. You've got the carousel out on one side and the kids zone, which is always expanded. As I'm sitting here looking like, it would cost me hundreds of dollars to go to a major league game up in Philadelphia. This was something that I could bring my family to for, $40 and not break the bank and be here often. And everybody loves it. And you guys have done an outstanding job of really cultivating that over the years, I think. I mean, that's, my kids still talk about, you remember the time Lizzie got lost? And it was like, yeah, and they were all right there. And the other thing that you guys cultivate is the family thing. I know recently that there was an usher that was one of my favorite that passed away. And, we heard about it. It was, I don't want to say I don't come here for the baseball. I mean, I certainly do. But when I do come here, I want to get down on the third base side. I want to talk. I want to be in Pete's section because I like Pete. Pete's a great guy, and he recognizes me and everything else. And what you facilitated here really speaks to that. From the ticketing office to the promotions people, which are hysterical. And a little bit later, we'll probably talk to Phil Rye, who is the assistant general manager, and he's just sort of is the guru behind the promotions. But as far as the management, and you guys have been really, really top notch as far as I've been able to see.
We've lost some employees. We lost 2 this year on the off season, and it's sad because it is a family. They're coworkers and game day employees, but they're the ones that interact with the fans, and they're the ones that really have an effect on the fans. And we lost Ken Smith, who I think you're referring to, and he's a veteran. He's very active in the VFW, and so the community really meant a lot to him. And it hurts, it hurts, but that's the nature of being in a job a long time too, John. I've been here for a long time, and we've lost fans that we've grown attached to, and coworkers, game day employees, and I guess it's part of life, but it does hurt. It's going to hurt opening the season missing those 2 employees, and.
It'll be a hole. It'll be a hole for you guys. I don't have any doubt as far as that goes. What do we look like as far as players go? I mean, we've thrown a lot of people from the minor leagues up to the majors, and there's a lot of success stories coming out of Bowie. What are some of the ones that you remember the most? Yeah,
prior to Mike coming here, and quite frankly, prior to last year, we had a philosophy under the management at the time to really sign minor league free agents, so the older free agents for minor leagues, and be good but not have that young prospect. Well, that's out the window now, right? After the Machado trade, after the Scope trade, Britton trade, all these prospects, young prospects with years under control, they've already made our team at the end of last year quite a bit younger. We were averaging over 26 years 2-3 years ago, and Now we're a couple years younger than that. So clearly there is going to be an emphasis on building the young talent here. And you're seeing some of our young talent, like you mentioned, already doing well in spring training right now. A guy like Chance Cisco has already had 3 home runs in 3 games. We ended last season, I believe, the best team in the Eastern League, but it's too late to get to the playoffs. But that's going to be, when speaking to Mike, the new general manager, Elias, so his comment to me is, you guys are going to be good, not because we're going to put an emphasis on winning, because that's a dirty secret in minor league baseball. Winning's not that important. It just isn't. But you're going to be good because you're going to be talented. And so that, to me, says they're going to place the emphasis on building from within, and that's the model that worked for them in Houston when Mike was in Houston. So it's not a secret. We're going to get younger, and we're going to develop talent from within.
So it's interesting. So you say that a winning season is not necessarily the goal. I mean, obviously that's icing on the cake, but it's the development of the players. I mean, if you come out with a bunch of players that are playing at level A in April. When's opening day?
April 11th.
April 11th. Come September, they're playing at level A+4. That's a winning season for the Orioles, regardless of what the scorebook says.
Yeah, I shouldn't trivialize the winning to the degree maybe that I did, but the first 7 innings, not worried about winning. So what's frustrating as a fan sometimes is you see a pitcher on the mound and he's just getting hit all over the place. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
The fan in you says, take this guy out. But the reality of it is there was a prescribed pitch count. And so this guy had to get 60 pitches, even if 5 of those were over the fence. But that was, that's the thing that's behind the scenes thing. But if you're a tie game in the 7th inning, you're gonna put your bullpen in the best opportunities to
win, sure.
to win, and you're gonna make the moves to win, the defensive moves. But that's some of the things behind the scenes that people don't realize, is that you might have a guy who's struggling at the plate and pinch hit for this guy, but no. The plan here was for him to get 4 at-bats.
I've been waiting for the time when a pitcher gets up there, realizes after about 6 pitches that he just doesn't have his mojo for the day, and he calls the manager out and says, yo, I'm out. Get somebody else in here. I'm ready for somebody to self-eject themselves from the game there. But and again, we've seen some tremendous talent come through here, both with the Baysox as well as other teams. I remember when he was a minor league, and I can't remember which team he played for, but he's gone on to greatness. But Coco Crisp, and we were always like, oh my God, that's such a great baseball name, and certainly it was. You've had some characters. You've had Howie that played here, and he was the only guy that played, I believe, every single position in one game.
That's trivia that I don't know about. Was that here?
Yeah. It was back when he was playing outfield, and it was, I think his score was something like 103-2 or something like that. And, they just turned around and they said, okay, well, but just move him around position, finished him out at pitcher, and he played every single position in one game, and it was just probably the end of the season. There wasn't much we were going to do for a playoff or even to win this game. But to see the interaction with the players and whatnot. I mean, certainly we see the rehab assignments that come through here, and you had mentioned that the physical location of Bowie is so close to Baltimore. And I know, I've heard, and you can maybe confirm this, is that it's not unusual for the phone to ring as a team, maybe here preparing for a 7:00 game or a 6:30 game in Bowie, somebody get a call up to Baltimore, and it's like, well, yeah, no, put your Bowie uniform back, get in your car and hustle your butt up to Camden Yards. And does that happen?
Absolutely, yeah. And then that's the fun part of the job, right? Is letting somebody know that they made the majors for the first time.
Is that your job, or is that the manager's job, or is it both? Or
manager's job primarily. I've been in the room,
right?
But it's good. It's really. It's powerful. It's powerful.
It's got to be.
It's an accomplishment. It has absolutely zero to do with money.
Especially when he thinks he's probably going to get his ass chewed out.
Well, that's true. That's true. But it's powerful stuff. What's really powerful is when you get back. We had a gentleman, Corbin Joseph, who's Caleb Joseph's brother, who made the majors for a cup of coffee 5 or 6 years prior, and had been fighting and had not gotten back. And he got the call to go back up. And I think that was even just as powerful, the 4 or 5 years that he toiled in the minor leagues to make it back. Once he made it initially, he probably thought, this is no problem. I'll be back next year. But
well, we all know what majors make. I mean, there's a $300 million deal over out in California, but are the minors? And I had heard at one point that it was they were like $2,500 a month type. Just a really, really minimum wage. They're living with host families here when they're home, and the cheapest decent hotel that we can find when we're on the road type thing. Is that legit?
It is legit. And I think the $2,500 figure, you add in the free agent signings, and it's probably a little low for an average monthly, but it is legitimate. We do have host families that take care of players. And this day and age, we have fewer and fewer that do that because of being married or having significant others. But it's absolutely true. This is not a real place to make money. This is almost like an apprenticeship where you're learning the trade because you know that there's gold at the end of the rainbow.
There's a golden ring out there someplace. Yeah. You just got to figure out how to catch it.
Yeah, but these guys eat a lot of their meals in the ballpark. They still pay dues. So each day there's a due structure for the food and for the cleaning the uniforms that gets paid to the clubhouse manager. So it's not the glorious image that
you're looking at the players' parking lot. You're not seeing too many Benzes and Jags.
Yeah, it depends what round you were taking in. That's the thing is you're sitting your locker. You're making $2,500 a month. And your signing bonus was $5,000 because you're taking in a late round.
Right.
You're sitting next to a guy that signed for $3 million.
Right.
But your salaries are the same.
Right.
Believe it or not, your salaries are the same. But it's the signing bonus.
Sure.
Which separates. So that's a unique thing about minor league baseball. You do have these guys that are really, really struggling, and then you have guys that made the signing bonus, and they'll be comfortable in theory, although in practice it hasn't worked out all that well. But in theory, should be set for life.
Right, a signing bonus could set you for life, but
in theory. But
takes care of me for the season.
John, I could tell you stories about how kids blow money, and it wouldn't surprise you.
We all do. I mean, I know. When I graduated from school, I worked at a bar one time, and it was for about 4 years and 5 nights a week. I never left with less than $200 in cash. And, had I been smart and saved it or banked it or something like that, I could have probably bought my first house for cash. But I ate it, drank it, smoked it, tipped it, whatever it was. It was, I think it happens. One of the things that I always loved way back when, and I'm starting to sound nostalgic, but that I don't see happening now, and maybe it's because the way the culture has changed in baseball, is that the programs that you used to put out, you used to do a player spotlight, and maybe even there was a grid, I think, at one point. It says, here's the player, where he's from, and what he does on the off season, which was, it was like, okay, so we've got this guy, and he goes back down to home to Miami, and he's a landscaper. And this guy goes down, and he may be a painter, or this guy may be working as a financial planner. It doesn't, where it is. Is that still true, or are these guys going into other baseball activities? I know some people will now go back and play in a Dominican league or a Venezuelan league or something like that.
I think it's an astute point that the pressures and the expectations of these guys in the off-season have really changed over the years, where they're expected to go play in a winter league. If you're lucky enough, you play in a fall league, but that's an invite only for your major league team, and that's quite an honor if you make the fall league. But the expectations have changed, and these guys are really nudged into essentially doing this year round. Now, grant you, they're not getting paid, right?
Right.
Once once the season's over, you do not get paid until, believe it or not, until opening day of the next year. Even spring training, these guys don't get paid. They obviously get their food and their housing, but there is this expectation that it's a year-round job, and you would expect them to stay in shape and lift and be in a program, but even that is more, you're online now, so we know what you're doing, And so the expectation has been raised.
What are you guys doing for the stadium? I mean, I know each year you sort of update the stadium and make things look a little bit fresh and add new things. I know last year or the year before, you really upped the menu and stuff like that. What's happening physically to the stadium in the next years or so? Do you have any plans for?
Oh, we got plans. We got plans. And we've got several things that are on paper right now over the next 3 years. One is an enhanced picnic pavilion. We want to get rid of all the general admission seats at the stadium. We want to put a cool zones in the stadium because it's, you're in 1994, you came out, it's a 95-degree day, you didn't mind sitting in the sun. Well, now people don't really want to sit in the sun for 3 hours. So we want to add more shade to the ballpark. We also want to expand some casual areas. One of the things with our stadium is it's really, really big. It was built to AAA specs. So we want to make it a little more intimate and have casual areas where people can get a plate of food and get a drink and stand. It's very similar to the major leagues are really doing this as well. And so we want to also upgrade the player development aspects of our stadium, including our locker area, our training center, or strength and conditioning center, really need to be augmented. Right now, we have adequate facilities, but we really want to augment that, so make this place also a destination year-round. I mean, you mentioned some of our events that we've hosted. Well, we want to host events year-round now. We want to push to use this facility so the community gets benefit year-round. And
well, it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You've got, I don't know what square footage or however you measure the stadium, but to have it sit vacant for 7 months a year, 6 months a year is crazy. You mentioned it was built to a AAA spec. Was Bowie supposed to be a AAA team at one point, or was that just sort of what we decided to build the stadium in case?
Yeah, the answer is yes. It was built to AAA specs because the owner at the time, a gentleman by the name of Peter Kirk, who was in Annapolis actually, wanted to get an expansion franchise. At the time, it was the Marlins.
Okay.
And did not get that expansion. Okay, so he wanted to get to AAA. So he lost out on that. And so we ended up moving from Hagerstown to here. So in
Baysox were originally in Hagerstown?
Yep.
Wow.
Well, so that was the AA affiliate. I mean, they were called the Suns.
Okay.
But that was the AA affiliate for the Baltimore Orioles. So our owner moved that AA affiliate to Bowie, to the new stadium. And then ultimately, Hagerstown got a single A franchise.
Okay.
So they didn't lose baseball per se.
Right.
But the
That's
AA affiliate.
They're like the Mud Hens, or?
It's Hagerstown Suns still.
Still Suns.
Yeah, so same name, but it's a lower level. It's a single A team, and they're with the Washington Nationals.
Okay. So I mean, the stadium was actually built as a bargaining chip, to possibly get a AAA. Yeah.
So in the ideal world, at the time Peter Kirk had owned Frederick and Hagerstown, an ideal world would have owned a AAA team here in Bowie and still retain Hagerstown and Frederick.
Gotcha.
But once the ownership did not get that AAA franchise, they just moved to the AA team.
Makes sense. Well, Brian Shuckroth, how long have you been here?
I got here in 2002, December 2000. My first season was 2003. So I think this is 15 for me.
So you, as general manager?
Not as general manager. I spent the first 2 seasons not as general manager. So my first year as general manager would have been 06, I believe.
And sports background? I mean, was this your dream job?
No, it wasn't. My initial goal was to work in college athletics. I did that. And at the time, I was working at the University of Virginia and ended up going back to Philadelphia and worked for the Sixers and the Flyers organization. They purchased the minor league baseball teams down in Maryland, and I had done a lot of work in Reading for the Reading Phillies. Right. And so I was kind of the only person in a room with the baseball background, and so they sent me packing. So I went to Delmarva, worked for the Shorebirds for 2 years, and came over here.
Fantastic. Well, you've done a hell of a job, and I'm looking forward to the start of the opening day. It's coming up in April 11th. Before we know it, it'll be here. And in just a minute, we're going to talk to Phil Rye, who's the assistant general manager, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on this season. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, John. Pleasure.
Well, as promised, we have just finished up with Brian Shawcross, who's the general manager. And now we've got Phil Rye, who is the assistant general manager, but he is also like the, I don't know, the brainchild or the guy that didn't move fast enough when they asked for volunteers to get out of line. But you actually make the stadium, and this is my terms, but make the stadium hum during game days. And is that pretty accurate? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's it's funny, over the 20 years I've been here, this will be year 21 for me, which you don't usually see a lot of people stay with the same team. If they're staying in this business, they, move around in different things, but, I've been able to kind of move up the ladder here. But, over the years with, people coming and going and being a part of our staff, I've kind of absorbed a lot of duties. So, I oversee, our promotions, our marketing efforts, our advertising efforts, our in-game presentation, the promotional events that we're doing, our game day, crew in the press box, what we're putting on the video board, things that we're putting on our website, that type of stuff. So it's, there's a lot of pieces that go into it that people that attend games don't usually see, but we're looking at it as I guess pieces of a pie and putting it all together to make a whole event kind of run and click. And our day starts early in the morning on a game day. Putting those things, the last pieces into place. But it's funny, one of the questions we get a lot when the season ends is, well, what do you guys do now? Are you here full time? And I wish I could just snap my fingers about March 15th and everything's done and the tickets are sold and the promotions are put together. But, literally in the month of August, when a season's still going on, we're starting to think about the next season. April of the next year. And what are we going to do? And what are we going to do in the ballpark? And what are we going to do for events? And what's, the hardest thing is what's going to be popular next April, May, June, that might be popular now, but will it still be then? And can we make something happen? Sure. For example, like if you looked at a game like Fortnite, it was big last summer. It was the game. It was being played in our clubhouse. It was being played by everybody, and we did a Fortnite night. But will it still be popular, in June of 2019 when it's popular in June of 2018?
Sure, you're rolling the dice.
It's something we have to think about and look at and kind of forecast, I guess, is will something still be popular? And if it isn't and we've planned it, we're going to fall flat on our face. But if it is, maybe we have a good night out of it or a good event.
Have a winner.
Yeah.
Well, I will say one of the winningest, I think, promotions or stunts, whatever you want to call it, was the back hair.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people ask about Back Hair Appreciation Night and where it came from. And one of those, October promotional meetings, we're sitting in a conference room, what are we going to keep? What are we going to not keep? What are we going to try to do differently from the year before? Somebody in our office was like, oh, when do we want to schedule, when do we want to schedule Mustache and Beardapalooza for? And I was like, we're not doing those again. They're done. They've outlived their life and we need to do something else. And so I was kind of put on the spot. Okay, what are we going to do? And I was like, I don't know, I'll come up with something. And about 10 minutes later, we were talking. I forget what we were talking about. And all of a sudden it was, I've got it. And I hit the table and the eyes start rolling for my staff. Like, oh, here comes the next harebrained idea.
Pardon that pun.
Pardon that pun. And I said, we're going to celebrate back hair. And of course the eyes roll even more. And like, how are we going to do that? I was like, we're going to get, estheticians out here from, a spa, and we're going to have live back waxing on the dugout during games. And if people, shave the number 15 in their back hair, and show it at the box office, they'll get in for free. So it looks like a jersey.
Right.
I even wanted to create jerseys that our players were going to wear, that the numbers were put into the back hair. So the jersey, right. I didn't get to that far, but they wouldn't let me go that far. They're like, that's disgusting. And I'm like, it's a jersey, it's not real hair. And we had fun with it. And it was one of those promotions, like if we got people to come out here, great, but in our market it's tough to gain attention for a lot of things because we have so mmany people and there's so many events and so many things to do. So this was kind of one of those things I looked at that would be maybe a little shock value that the media would have to cover because they wouldn't believe that we were doing it.
So
of course, they did cover it. We were actually all over the country. National sites like ESPN and CBS and ABC, Fox, all their outlets. Ripley's Believe It or Not, right. Sports Illustrated. The package was to get a massage and a back facial from Robert Andrew Day Spa, which is probably a $200 or $300 package. Sure. So people are like, I'll go get my back waxed for that. And one guy was like, my wife's been wanting me to do this for years anyway, so I might as well got a free ticket to the game and I get a $300 package with a massage and a back facial. So what the heck, right? But yeah, it's one of those things that you did it once and it got all this stuff. We tried it again the next year. We got no publicity out of it. The media was kind of like, all right, been there, done that. And it went by the wayside. But something like that, something like setting the world record for the most people sitting on whoopee cushions simultaneously on the 4th of July back in the early 2000s, that took off too. So you never know what you're going to find that hits. Some bring people out, some get you attention, and some should have been left on the promotion room floor. Well, but we've done them all. Yeah. Well,
you've mentioned the word event a couple times, and I mean, I sit there and I understand what it takes to put off any kind of an event. And your short season, if you will, you just kick back on the couch for the rest of the year, wink, wink. But you're putting on a full-blown event for several thousand people, up to 10,000 people, probably 11,000 people on weekends, 4 to 5 nights a week.
Yeah, I mean, when we're home, it's, you're either home for 3 days, 4 days, 6 days, or 7 days. And, a lot of your homestands are 6 or 7 game homestands, and there's no break in there. It's 7-day homestand is Monday through Sunday. You got 6 night games and an afternoon game, and we're putting something on, and we're putting on a 3-hour, 4-hour entertainment show with the stuff that we're doing before the game, in game, the promotion or the theme night that we're doing. We have to put on, whether we're decorating the ballpark or we're bringing in a guest or a DJ or a celebrity or, whatever we're doing. If you're thinking about like a Christmas in June event, we're working with to bring in Santa Claus. We're looking to put up all those decorations and things. And then right after the game's over, we're taking it down and setting up for the next day's event.
Reset, sure.
So it's hard. There's a lot of work put into that people don't see. I think they know that we're doing it, but walk in and it's there. But you want to make sure that the event has, if you're putting on Star Wars night, that pretty much everything you do throughout the night has some Star Wars-esque, tie into it, and organizing all that takes a lot of pre-planning and then day of game planning, and then it's like 3 hours go by and you're ripping it apart and putting the next thing up for the next day.
Well, the Baysox are just such a community, and I mean, you can't turn around if you're paying attention and see where the Baysox are in the community. I mean, you have presence at most festivals in the area. You have, and I will mess up the name of the program, but Louise Holiday
Hope. Yep.
Very close.
Yep, pretty close.
There are needy families in the area that are given gifts. You've got appearances for reading. You've got that you do there. You support the summer reading clubs and through the public schools, and the libraries. You've got countless teams that will come in here, whether they be little league teams or just rec leagues and whatnot, that come here and that can interact with the players and run out on the field for the national anthem. You don't go booking national known stars to do the national anthems. You have tryouts here in the stadium, and actually a good friend of mine's daughter did it, and she's like 11 or 12. But it's this is just such a community event, and I think that as our Latino population has grown over the years, you guys have really done a good job of embracing that. Because is it 2 years, or is this going to be you went with the ghost crabs? And I'm not.
This will be year 2. The Congrejos Fantasmas de Chesapeake, or the Chesapeake Ghost Crabs. Yeah, and that comes from actually a program in minor league baseball. For those that don't know, there's 160 minor league baseball teams, affiliated minor league baseball teams across the country, with a couple of those in Canada as well. So they're all affiliated with a major league organization. Over the course of an entire year, about 43 million people visit minor league baseball parks in this country, those 160 teams. And, minor league baseball attendance has kind of hovered in that 42, 43 million people, give or take, for the past 2 or 3 years, but it's grown up to that point. And now we kind of hit a little bit of a plateau there. And, we're always looking how can we get more people out to the ballpark, and the folks in what we call the National Association office, or the NA down in Florida, they're looking at the big picture for these 160 teams, and where can we go to try to bring out more families and more people to the ballparks across the country. And, and looking at the game of baseball, and realizing that in the majors and the minor leagues, about 40% of the players are from Hispanic and Latino countries. You're talking Puerto Rico and Cuba and the Dominican and Venezuela and et cetera, Mexico and things like that. But our fan bases and the people attending games across the country really it's not showing that same trend in terms of the attendance. So they came up with a program, we call it the COPA program for short, but it's basically a diversity initiative to have our teams collectively reach out into the Hispanic communities in our marketplaces to bring our game to them and kind of open the doors, so to speak, even though they are open, but open the doors to those communities and those people, and put on events. And we figured that the best way to do that would be not only to kind of get the outreach there, but also to kind of assimilate our teams to the marketplace. So we love our little crab. And for those who don't know, a ghost crab is an indigenous creature to the Chesapeake Bay. It's probably about 3 inches across, a little clear, but we made it look mean and badass, so to speak. And the kids like it. We like it, so you'll see it around, for years to come, I hope.
Can you give us a peek into what we might expect promotion-wise or fun-wise here as a baseball experience? Are you allowed to?
Absolutely.
Tell us that?
We've released our promotional schedule on our website, so you'll be able to go on and see that. But you mentioned, and
this is all sort of, I want to say, up in the air, because things may change, or
we always say subject to change, because you never know. There could be a schedule change. But first thing I'll mention is coming up on Saturday, March 30th, is our free family fun fest. We've been doing this. This will be our 20th year doing that. It's a free event for the community to come on out, and just kind of an open day at the ballpark. It's the day our individual game tickets go on sale for all of our games. Come on out and get that first hot dog of the season. It's the first one's always the best one. But come on into the kids park, and we have live music, and we have fun and games, and a lot of our sponsors are out here doing fun things, and enter to win stuff and raffles, or buy a game used jersey, or just kind of be at the ballpark. It's fun to be around.
And if you bought season tickets, you can pick them up.
Yep. If you get your season tickets, you can get those that day and do that type of stuff. Opening night here is Thursday, April 11th. We take on the Harrisburg Senators, the Nationals affiliates. We kind of have that, start off with that battle of the Beltway, the minors versus the minors. Early April the 14th, our kids opening day, we'll have a opportunity for kids to play catch in the field. We'll have some players that'll be signing autographs for kids. We're going to be having a petting zoo out here, pony rides for kids. The Easter Bunny's going to be here. So kind of an all-encompassing kind of fun day. Mondays in our ballpark, Monday night games are our Mutt Monday games. It's really been part of what we do. We're very dog friendly here. We actually have every game during the ballpark season. We have a dog that's up for adoption, so people can meet a dog that's ready to be adopted during almost every game here in the season. But Mondays are Mutt Mondays. Bring your dog to the ballpark for free. Tuesdays are going to change up a little bit for us this year. We're calling them $2 Tuesdays. So purchasing a box seat ticket at regular price in advance, which would be $16, you get the second one for $2. So $18 for two people to sit in the box seat tickets on a Tuesday night. Just have to buy those in advance of the game that you're coming to.
And I will interject there that a box seat ticket is the lower section of the field. And to be honest with you can be one row, no rows, or one row or two row off of the field.
Usually you can be really close.
See in real town for less than the cost of a ticket to go see a movie.
Yeah, it ends up being $9 a ticket. And then Tuesdays are also dollar dog night, so you can come in for 2 for $18 basically, and get dollar hot dogs that night. So it's pretty good deal for the locals. Our Baysox Live happy hours are going from Tuesdays to Thursdays this year. We're going to have a lot of themed happy hours with different types of music and stuff. Happy hour for us starts at 5 o'clock on a Thursday night until game time. $2 draft beers, games, cornhole, some snacks, things like that, and the live music. So you can't beat a $2 beer at the ballpark, especially on a Thursday night. Our kids club, we're actually rebranding that this year to call it the Futures Club for having the kids. They're kind of the future. So Louis Kids Club is changing names, but all the benefits are the same. Just some other fun nights we're having here at the ballpark. The summertime. We're doing in June, our very popular Star Wars night will be back on June 1st, where we have about 50 or 60 costume characters out here in movie quality costumes. I mean, these guys are great. They perform. It's also going to be the night where we host our 1K beer run. For anybody who's not familiar with that, it's a ticket. It's about $21. Get a box seat ticket. You come down in the field before the game and participate in a run around the warning track. It's 3 laps around the warning track. After each lap, you get a cold Bud Light, and the first one to finish the 3 laps and the 3 Bud Lights is the winner of the 1K beer run. We're going to be doing a Heroes Day out here on June 2nd. We're going to be honoring police and fire and EMS folks. There's even going to be a post-Baysox game softball contest between the Anne Arundel County Fire Department and the Anne Arundel County Police Department. They're going to take to the field and play a charity softball game after that. So
my money's on the cops.
It could be, yeah. They have the handcuffs. They can lock people up. So we're going to be doing some fun things there. We're actually going to be doing our first ever Pride Night here at the ballpark on June 13th. We're hosting an AmVets night out here. One of the cooler events we're going to do for the folks that love the show, the Netflix show Stranger Things, which is a big phenomenon. We're doing a Stranger Things night on June 15th. It's a Saturday, and we're actually going to have Cara Buono, who plays the mom on that show, who will be here meeting and talking and signing autographs.
You guys always
fans.
have some fun guests that come out here. I mean, you had, Cooter from Dukes of Hazzard?
Cooter from the Dukes of Hazzard. We've have had many professional wrestlers over the years.
Gabriel Iglesias.
Gabriel Iglesias. Fluffy's been out here, kind of a last-minute thing. He happened to be in town, and we got him. We're actually going to be doing an R&B night out here on June 27th. And R&B, I guess I'll call him legend from Prince George's County, Genuine's going to be joining us for that night and meeting and talking to fans, taking pictures, signing autographs. We're doing a pancake and PJ party night. We're going to have a really special food item we're going to debut that night. I can't say it yet because we haven't finalized it yet, but
it's pancakes.
It's going to involve pancakes and other ballpark foods, so stay tuned for that. We're going to do a Baysox Down Under night, kind of an Australian themed night. We're going to have kangaroos out here and other Australian animals like wallabies and things. And we're hoping there is a rising prospect in the Orioles system, Alex Wells, who's actually from Australia. And the likelihood is he'll be here with us this season. So we're hoping that it jives together and he might be the starting pitcher that night on Aussie night. So we'll kind of see what happens there.
Bring out Annapolis' mayor. He's from Australia.
Yeah, we might get him too. One of our fun events that we do every year, our helicopter candy drop for kids.
Right.
We bring all the kids 12 and under. We have a helicopter that hovers over the field and drops over 10,000 pieces of candy onto the field for the kids to pick up. That'll be June 30th, which will be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing a huge car show that day with the Asphalt Angels. Of course, 4th of July out here is great. Independence Night, big fireworks show.
Is that on the 4th of July this year?
We are on the 4th of July. We're going to be doing an Orioles Day out here. We're going to be giving away a Mike Mussina Hall of Fame bobblehead that day on July 7th, a Sunday. Mike Mussina just got elected to the Hall of Fame. He actually did appear in one game for the Bowie Baysox back when we played at Memorial Stadium in 1993. He was on a rehab assignment from the Orioles, so he wore our uniform for one game. We had 2 pictures of him in that uniform, and we're turning his bobblehead into a Baysox jersey with the Hall of Fame insignias on it, which would be really cool.
Own it. He's an alum.
Yep.
Own it.
We're doing improv comedy night on a Thursday night with a group that's based in Annapolis, the Free Range Comedy Organization. They do
Free Range
events.
Improv, they're fun.
Yeah, Free Range Improv. They're going to come on out here and do improv comedy on Thursday, July 18th, along with our happy hour. This is the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. It happened on July 20th, 50 years ago. We're home on Saturday, July 20th, so we're doing Man on the Moon night. And we're actually going to do a Trey Moon Mancini bobblehead. So Trey Mancini, who played here in Bowie and is now with the Orioles, we're going to turn him into an astronaut on a bobblehead, and we're going to give that away on July 20th. So Trey Moon Mancini, if you kind of look at the simulation, the MTV Moon Man from the Video Awards, so Trey Moon Mancini will be the bobblehead that night, which will be really fun. August is always great, too. Our annual Touch-A-Truck Day with Miss Utility out here. We have 30 or 40 large vehicles and stuff for kids to climb on and horns to blow, and they love it. It's a huge day for us. Celebrate Maryland Night with a Maryland flag Baysox sock giveaway. The socks are going to look like the Maryland flag with our logo in it in there too. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's late in August. We're going to do a Baytoberfest. Which will kind of be like an Oktoberfest with a little Bay twist to it. Okay. There's going to be beer, there's going to be food, and things like that. So that'll be on August 23rd. Our Fan Appreciation Day, our season finishes on the 25th. Another event we're really looking forward to, it'll be the first time that I know of that any professional sports team, especially in minor leagues, has done it. On Thursday, August 15th, we are going to do drag night here at the ballpark. We are working with folks that do drag shows around the region. They're going to come on out and be dressed up and perform. Brian and myself will be dressed up as drag queens and will probably perform, as well as a number of our staff members will be dressed up. And we want people to come here and forget about their bad day at work or the stresses that they have or life in general, and just come on out and forget about that and let us entertain. And that's the stuff that we have control over. You know, Brian and myself and our staff, we have control over the fun. We can't control the weather. We can't control the game on the field.
This is the score of the game.
Yeah, the score of the game. You know, the Baltimore Orioles are the ones that provide us the players and who they are and the level that they're playing at. And they're the ones that draft them and sign them and trade them and move them up, move them down, whatever. So Brian and I don't have any control over who plays on the team, but we can control the fun that we have from the time you drive into the ballpark and park your car for free to getting that program, to the experience with our game day staff and our staff and what you're seeing and the music you're hearing. And
well, one thing that I think you left out, and hopefully I'm not wrong, but every Friday and Saturday night, your home games, fireworks.
Almost every, yep.
Is that a general sort of a...
Yeah, every Saturday night is fireworks, and most Friday nights, once we get into June, typically.
And they are a spectacular show.
Yeah.
You can hear them in Annapolis if the wind is blowing the correct way and everything else there. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I love about this is that you've got different segments of fans, if you will. I mean, I come and I get little pieces of everything. I'm not transfixed by the game. I'm affixed enough so I don't get hit in the head with a ball, which is always a good thing. But you've got some people that are just so into the game, they've got their books and their apps and they're scoring it and really tracking it there. You've got other people that are there purely for the entertainment factor. You've got families that are here that it's like, I'm not going to the mall or the Chuck E. Cheese, ball pit. I'm going to the Baysox because we've got the kids area, we've got the inflatables, we've got the merry-go-round, we've got
one of the things I talk about, with people who I hear the line a lot, well, I'm not a baseball fan. And my comeback and my response to them is, you don't have to be a baseball fan to have a good time at our ballpark. You don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars to be a season ticket holder here. We have a package here that is $88, and it's 8 undated tickets that you can use at any combination of games during the season that you want to come to. You save $5 off the price of a regular price box seat ticket, so they're $11 a seat. The regular price is $16. Then you become a season ticket holder. You get a season ticket holder gift. You get to get invited to a ballpark picnic and batting practice event for season ticket holders during the summer. So you get to come on the field. We do it on a Wednesday or Thursday night.
But with the flexi pack or the the pack that you're talking about is somewhat of an insurance against weather as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, if you want to go to the ball game and all of a sudden you've got some hurricane, God knows that couldn't happen.
Any
here.
weather. Yep.
And you say, yeah, no, this isn't it. You're not out the money.
Right. Or there's a lot of ways that you can redeem the tickets. You can, if there was a game tonight, you can just come up with your ticket voucher book and just walk up to the box office, exchange those tickets for tonight's game and get the best available box seat that you want. You can come up to the box office tonight's game and then know that you want to come to, a Saturday game 3 months from now and exchange the tickets then. You can call us on the phone and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I've got book number whatever, and hey, next Saturday I want to come. What's the closest seat I can get? We have a program here that it's called the Assurance Program. So a season ticket holder gets the assurance as part of your ticket package. So even if you have exchanged those tickets for a specific dated ticket and for some reason you can't make it, you can exchange those dated tickets for another date if you want to. Now with the assurance, anybody that's buying a ticket, like an individual game ticket, so let's say you're buying tickets for Star Wars night in the beginning of June and you're doing that this week, and you buy the assurance with it, which is $2 extra per ticket for an individual ticket buyer. You're basically buying a policy on those that if for some reason you can't make that game for $2 more, you can exchange those tickets one time for any other day.
Well, I'll tell you, what's the best way to buy tickets? And I do encourage everybody to buy them, whether it's a package or a season ticket or just even in individual games, and find out more about what's going on with the Baysox.
Yeah, the best way to get them is Baysox.com. Our individual game tickets go on sale March 30th at 10 a.m. Through either our Baysox.com. You can link through our social media pages. We're active on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Tinder.
We're not on Tinder yet. You may find some of the players on there. Who knows? I never know. Can see what you got there. Maybe a coach or two. We will be on Snapchat this year too. We're going to have an active Snapchat this year. It's not up yet, but once the team gets here, we're going to activate that. But through the other usual channels, you'll find us actively posting things. We want people to share their pictures at the ballpark too. We also encourage group tickets. Our group started a group of 20 people. So if the people from the neighborhood or a group from work, it doesn't all have to be catering and stuff, but we do offer private suites. We do offer larger suites. We do offer a picnic pavilion for company outings, group outings. It's great to get a group of employees together or a group of coworkers. It's great to get, the Kiwanis Club or the Civic Club, just to do something fun together. We have stuff going on all the time.
And all of that is at your fingertips at Baysox.com.
Yeah, we'll be posting our promo schedule on there in the next couple weeks. Actually, it should be on there now in the middle of March, but you can go to our promotions page.
Well, last thing, I want to put you on the spot. You've been here 20 years. You threw that little nugget out there earlier. What is your one most memorable thing that, okay, you've just been fired or you just quit, you've retired, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you say, Phil, what is your one most memorable experience at the ballpark? And it doesn't have to be a game, it doesn't have to be baseball. It could be something behind the office that we don't know.
There's so many.
I don't want that. I want one.
Yeah, it's funny. People are like, you should write a book someday. And I remember during a game during my first year, there was a family sitting in the box seats behind our first base dugout. And I forget their name. If they're listening, I forget. I'm sorry, I forget. But they had a 2 or 3 year old son. I used to sit in the crowd as I was getting ready to go on the field to do our next between innings contest. And this little boy was sitting on the aisle seat, and I happened to sit on the stairs next to him, and
okay.
we were playing. I had a soft baseball with me, and I was tossing it to him, and he was tossing it back, or I'd let him play with a microphone. It wasn't on,
right.
But I'd let him hold it, and he would kind of hit the top of it, and he was having fun with me, and I did that. Every time I was on the first base side, he was sitting right there, and I sat next to him, and we kind of had this little friendship. I was 23, he was 3, and so I come off the field, and I get the fireworks started, and I had actually gone in the dugout and grabbed a game baseball, and I put it in my back pocket. I did that a lot, and I would give it to a kid in the stands. So I kind of sat down, I was walking by, and I saw this little boy and his family, and the little boy was crying. I guess he didn't like the sound of the fireworks. He was kind of holding his ears a little bit. So I sat down next to him, and he came over and just sat in my lap, and he stopped crying. And he sat with me and just kind of sat in my lap on the stairs and watched the fireworks with me. And so I sat with him. And at the end of the fireworks, he clapped like a lot of the fans did. And I gave him the baseball, and he lit up. And to this day, he's now 23 years old. He was as old as I was back then. I don't know if they still live here, if they're in the... But I got an email, or our GM at the time got an email from this boy's father about a week or so later, and said, I'm remiss in making this an email that has taken me so long to write, but I just want to thank Phil for the time he spent with my son last Friday night or Saturday night, and the baseball, he wrote a few other things, but the baseball that he gave him, he has slept with every night since we've been at the ballpark. And I just want to thank you for creating a memory for my son and our family that night. It was way above and beyond anything that we would have ever thought we would have gotten at a baseball game. But my son hasn't stopped talking about, Mr. Phil and the Baysox and sleeping with this baseball for a week since. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to create memories and experiences, and whether that family still remembers that or that ball still exists somewhere, who knows? But I know that at least I helped impact that family on that night. And that's something that 20 years later, I still remember like it was yesterday. The motto that we live by here, and it's pasted in our box office, it's pasted around our offices, every day is opening day for somebody. If somebody comes to their first Baysox game on the last game of the season, that's their opening day, even though it's our last. And we try to put on a great show every night, whether there's 200 people here or 10,200 people here. We're trying to put on a fun night for everybody, and we're trying to interact with as many people as we can. And if we see a kid struggling with a noise or something, we're going to do everything we can to make it right for them, and do what we can and have some fun that way. But that story sticks with me for 20 years.
And that's what it's all about when it comes to minor league baseball.
Yeah.
Phil Rye, the assistant general manager for the Bowie Baysox. Get all your information at baysox.com and get your tickets there. I will certainly be at the park for many, many games. I am looking forward to opening day on April 11th as well, although the first couple days are always cold. So it's, the dog days of August and the early days of April are real tough. But thank you very much for your time this morning. And good luck this season.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Thanks.
And there you have it. Thank you very much to Phil Rye and Brian Shallcross. I can't wait to get to the ball field on April 11th. Phil had mentioned Pride Day and the first drag show at a minor league ballpark. If you want to learn more about Annapolis Pride, make sure you check out our podcast that we did with Jeremy Browning a couple episodes ago. It was a good one. And looking forward to our next one, we sat down with former Mayor Mike Pantelides, and, well, let's just say he's got some things to say. Make sure you're following us on all the right places. We've got a page and a group on Facebook, the Maryland Crabs Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast. Email us at info@the_Maryland_Crabs. And make sure you're subscribing anywhere you get your podcast from. And if you are someplace that you can leave a rating or a review, please do that because it will stop Tim from whining. Other than that, we'll catch you next time.
This has been the Maryland Crabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.